Hey, what's up everybody? Ryan here from G&B Fitness. Thought I'd do something a little bit different today, and that is have you join me in my session today. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you through the way that I do all of my sessions. And so basically I start off with a prep, then I practice a skill. I play around with that skill, and then I push myself, do a bit of conditioning to finish things up. Afterwards I ponder, I look at how did the session go? What could I have done better? What do I want to do for my next session? That's what we're going to do today. So what I'm going to do is actually take you all the way through this, give you some ideas that you can use in your own session, and hopefully this will spark some interest, get you thinking a little bit different besides just simply working out. Remember, what we're doing here in G&B is focusing on our main goal, our why. And today, my focus is on looking at parkour type movements. I say parkour because what I'm trying to do today is focus on a particular skill set. That's basically looking at precision jumps as well as single leg balance. As you go through this video, think about what you can do at your own level. Now, the skills that I'm going to be working on today aren't that difficult at all. The goal is not to show you some flashy tricks or something like that. Simply to take you through the process of how I look at setting up my own sessions. If this goes well, I'll probably do some future videos similarly, but today the main thing, as I mentioned earlier, is focusing on precision jumps. Then I'm going to focus on single leg balance, finish things up by playing around just a little bit, pushing myself, conditioning my legs, and that's it. Let's get going. All right, so we first need to work on preparing our body for the work that we're doing today. And remember, we're going to be focusing on that precision jump as well as single leg balance. And so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on preparing our hips, our knees, and our ankles. First thing we're going to do is simple leg swings. This is going to help with the hip flexors. It's also going to focus on getting us prepped for our balance work. So just one leg out in front, all I'm going to do is swing my leg. Now, I'm just going to demonstrate this. What I suggest is whenever you're doing your prep, and when I'm doing a video like this, is again, you don't need to follow along with me. I'm just giving you some examples of what you can do in your own session, okay? Now, typically I would do this for upwards of a minute each side, okay? Not gonna do that, I'm just gonna show you what's going on, and then you can take these and do them yourself. So, continue, opposite side. Now, the cool thing about this, as I mentioned, is not just working the hip flexors, but you're also focusing on that balance. And so your toes are getting that workout and preparing yourself to be able to work on your single leg balance to help you with your jumps. And also, it's a good skill to be able to do that right there. So once you're done with that, then what I'm gonna do today is I'm just simply gonna go down into my squat, and I'm just gonna hang out here a little bit, and I'm just gonna make circles. Now, I'm hitting the ankles a little bit as I'm doing this. And as you might know, my right ankle is always pretty bad simply because of the major injury I had and the surgery I had. So I always need to take quite a bit of time to make sure that my ankles are good and ready. And that's what we're doing today. And so just hanging out in this squat. And if you can't go this deep into the squat, that's totally cool. Don't worry about it. You just find a position that's good for you. You might need to hold on to something, but you're just performing these circles and just getting things warmed up a little bit so we can start going deeper into this squat. And from here, what I'm going to do now is continue to work on the ankles and the toes, as well as the knees, and go over the top of my knee, pardon me, my toes. And so just back and forth. It's also working on balance, by the way. So if you're not used to doing something like this, helps in order to gain control in the movement. And that's what we're focused on here in G&B, is looking at strength, flexibility, and control. Gradually work on going deeper, using my hands as training wheels. Moving the knees inside and out, dropping the knee down towards the ground, further working on the hips. Again, if you have trouble with this, I can hold on to something. If you can't go this deep into your squat, perfectly fine. You stand up, you can do this. From here, I'm gonna go up on my toes. I'm gonna bring my feet a little closer together. And from here, just rock back and forth. If you haven't done these before, kind of fun. You find your balance. I almost fell. Rocking back and forth. Nice. Back and forth movements with control. Just kind of warming everything up. Because remember, I'm going to be working on those jumps as well, working on that single leg balance. And so to further go into my warm up here, the prep portion of it, I'm going to go back and do those swings again. For me, I really want to make sure that I'm good and ready to do the things I need to do, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on my prep. I want to get right into it. That's me. So this time, going a little bit higher, working and continue to find my balance when I'm doing these. Now I'm going to go to the outside with the circles. Again, these are just examples of things that you can do. Really, it just depends on what's going on that day, right? And you want to focus on hitting the areas of your body, the major joints, making sure you're good and ready so that you can work on your skill. This side's pretty bad for me because of my right leg. And that's why I'm doing this today, the balance point. So anyway, that's gonna be my prep. Let's get right into the skill work. All right, so now it's time to practice my precision jump. Now, I'm going to be using these round seat looking things. To be honest, I really don't know what they are, but they're really great because I'm going to be able to focus on jumping from one to the other with my precision jumps. But before I do that, I want to really practice on a lower level, kind of warming up again, so further preparing myself to be able to actually do the skill work. So what I'm going to do, instead of standing on these blocks, I'm actually just going to jump on the ground. And make sure, like, wherever you're doing anything, this is very important. If you're doing handstands or any kind of work outside or even in the gym, make sure that your area is nice and safe. So I just got to say this because it always amazes me to see people that don't actually check their environment. A big thing we're also looking at, of course, is gaining that situational awareness in terms of spatial awareness. What's going on around us? So here in GMB, it's not just about working out. It's about really understanding and being aware of what's going on in your body and around you when you're practicing skills. So all I'm gonna do right now is just do a couple of these precision jumps, making sure that I'm good and ready to perform the movement on these pillars, blocks, round thingies that are here. So focusing on my landing, making sure that I'm nice and quiet when I'm doing this. So anyway, feeling pretty good. So I'm gonna go move up here. First, just start off real nice and easy. The focus for me today is the landing. Am I landing on the balls of my feet? Do I have balance when I'm landing? And in my case, really trying to stick that landing, because using this as a warm-up so that when I go to play and actually add this movement into something else, that I have the confidence. And I'm performing this at the highest level I can in terms of quality. Movement, the highest level I possibly can. Doesn't matter how difficult the movement is. It's how beautifully I perform it. So that's an example of what I'm doing today for my skill work. Now, typically what I'll do a couple of these, one or two, take a step off, think about what went well, give myself a little bit of a break. I might take it up a little, make it a little bit more difficult, might actually stick with this. So today I actually think I am gonna stick with this. I'm gonna perform it for however long I want to. In this case, I got plenty of time today, so I'm probably gonna spend a good chunk of my time working on this and some other variations of it. All right, so here in the park, I have these cool stumps that I can play around with. Now, the cool thing about this is for my skill work today, I'm purposely choosing one. I don't know if you can really see, but this is actually angled. So it's not completely flat. So it's really gonna challenge me in terms of my balance and also help in strengthening my ankles. And so that's something else that I'm really focused on recently, especially with all the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and hiking and the play like this that I do. That's really my focus, to make sure that I'm getting stronger, that I'm improving my range of motion and that I have better control as I age, okay? So that's all I'm gonna do, is I'm just gonna stay on one foot here, and wow, that slope really makes a difference there, that angle. And all I'm gonna do is focus on finding balance and moving in different directions when I'm doing this, all right? Now, you know, depending on your level or where you're at, this might be really easy, it might be really difficult. And all I'm trying to do when I practice this is find that balance. And I could just stay here if I wanted to. And what I, again, trying to do is really focus on what's going on in my body whenever I'm doing anything, trying to be very aware during my skill work. And that goes for everything that I do when I'm, you know, working on any skill in my session, but especially my practice portion. The reason for that is that's going to allow me to really get better at everything that I'm doing, so that when I go to the play portion of it, I know that I'm gonna have that control, but I'm also gonna have that confidence in what's going on. And I'm purposely bending my leg here, trying to place myself in different positions to practice being comfortable in those positions. I'm about to lose it there. Okay. All right, and so what I'm gonna do now is give myself a little bit of a break, just shake my legs out. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna continue working on that. All right, so I decided to add one more thing to my practice. And typically I'll only focus on one or two things. Today, got a lot of time, feeling good. So I thought I would add one more thing to my practice, similar to the precision jumps, but what I'm going to do is go from one leg to the same leg. So basically I'm starting my left leg right now. I'm just gonna jump, it's a very small jump. And I just wanna focus on landing on that leg in that position. And notice, I didn't do it. And so what I'm gonna do is just focus on being able to do that today. Again, this looks super simple, and it should be super simple, but the thing is today I don't have it. So great, I'm gonna focus on today, making sure I can do that. And by doing that once and practicing, then I can focus on what do I need to do in order to get that particular skill today. And you notice I just got it. And the reason why I didn't get it the first time I know now is because my landing was off. Forced me to the side. The cool thing about this though is, again, it all comes down to awareness. And so when I'm practicing a skill, I'm not just trying to nail that skill. What I'm trying to do is perform that skill. And if it doesn't go the way that I wanted it to go, then I say, okay, why didn't it go that way? What is the one thing that I need to focus on in order to make sure that I can perform that skill and do it better than I had before? So do it that way and just focus on what did you learn from each movement. You do that, you'll always have a good session. All right, so we did our prep where we warmed ourselves up. We focused on that skill work, right? At least I did, you're watching, right? So next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play around. And when I'm playing, what I'm trying to do is basically see what happens when I do it. I'm not trying to push myself to the point where I'm gonna injure myself or anything like that. I'm actually taking the skills that I'm very, very comfortable with, ones that I practice, and doing them at a little lower level so that I make sure that I can perform them very high level, but I play and see what happens. So for example, I could actually just do a precision jump here and then maybe jump onto that leg here. And so I'm using these as a guide and to see what I can actually work on and what happens when I'm doing it. So once again, play is about taking the particular skill that you're working on, performing it at a little lower level so that you can go deeper into that. Let's say, for example, that I was working on doing a really long precision jump. Okay, cool. I was only doing one. But then with play, you can work on connecting those. So maybe we have a few of those round blocks or these stumps. And I can just continue working on going from one to the other in a continuous flow, if you will. But I'm doing it at a level that's good for me so that I don't injure myself. All right, so I want to say this, there's sometimes where I might not do a play portion in the session, or I might not do a push. In this video, I just wanted to show you using the 5 Ps that we have, the prep, practice, play, push, and ponder, how they can all fit together into this session. And so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna do my push. A push is really where I'm gonna hit my legs hard. I've done the practice session, I've done the play, and so now I really wanna just work my legs, I condition them. This is where typically most people live in their workouts. This is the actual workout portion of the session. And so what I'm gonna do today is take a movement that I absolutely love, which is a toe squat and a sissy squat together. And this really, really works my legs. It hits the ankles. We're gonna be hitting the entire leg structure, okay? Hips, hip flexors and whatnot. But I'm using this tree here and I'm gonna show you this movement. So if you wanna try this out at home, I suggest using something just for balance in the beginning when you're trying this out. So I'm gonna show you from the side here in a moment. I'm gonna show you in the front first. All I'm gonna do is have my feet about shoulder width apart when I'm doing this. I'm up on my toes. Now what I'm gonna do is stay on my toes as I keep my chest up, and I'm just gonna go down into this toe squat. From here, slowly bring my knees forward, and from here, stand straight back up. So showing this from the side then, again, it's a toe squat. So I'm squatting down, pushing my butt back. As I squat down, I'm using the tree for balance. And then I draw my knees forward, pushing the hips up, or excuse me, pulling my hips up. And the last portion of a sissy squat, okay? And so what I typically like to do is focus on time under tension. So rather than focus on the number of reps, I pick a specific period of time, a duration of time, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute. And I'll just do as many quality repetitions as I can. And today what I'm going to be doing is just focusing on doing these, and I'm just gonna do them for time, and what I'll do is 45 seconds, time under tension here, and then I'll stay at the top position here for my balance for 30 seconds, and then I'll do 45 seconds again of that squat, 30 seconds for however many rounds I feel like doing when I'm doing that. So this is the first movement that I'm going to do. So I'll just show you one more time. Toe squat. Add in this sissy squat portion of it. And I'll just keep going for the duration of time. In this case today, it'll be 45 seconds. And let's say high is 45 seconds, great. So then I'm just gonna stay here up on my toes for 30 seconds and then continue with that. That's the first movement, or movements if you will, that I'm gonna be using in my push. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing in my push series here is for single leg balance. And all I'm going to do is focus on performing a front scale, picking the leg to the side and to the back into a back scale. Again, this is something like, if you're not used to doing it, you can use, in this case, a tree for balance. I tend not to use that because really I want to focus on my foot and my toes really gripping the ground and finding that balance when I'm doing this. And so the way to adjust it, if you're not going to use your hand on something for balance, is rather than bringing your leg up high, you simply keep it low. So lock out this base leg and your chest is up, and you're just gonna focus on going very nice and slow to the back, squaring up the hips so the hips are square to the ground, and then bringing it back. And similarly to the toe squat, sissy squat that I did earlier, what I'm doing is focusing on a duration of time. Again, I'm just gonna go 45 seconds here on this leg. And let's say 45 seconds is done, and then I'll just switch. And so I'll just make sure that I find my balance, locking that leg out. I can adjust the height, I can start off here if I want. If the quality starts to get bad, I lose my balance or something, I can just simply drop my leg a little lower and keep going. And so that's the key here, is during the push session or portion of this session, I want to continue going. And so that's why really start to adjust the level that you're working on each movement so that you can continue going, so you continue to push yourself. That's the purpose of this, is really, really going deep. This is where you get your sweat on. This is where you just want to push yourself. All right, so there's an example of what I did in my session today. Now, I want to be clear, this is not a follow along video, and this is just one example of the way that I like to train. And this is how we do it here in GMB. We'll look at the 5 Ps, and that's where we'll prep ourselves for that particular skill that day. In this case, I was focusing on the precision jump and single leg balance. So after that prep, we practice those skills, and then we might play with those skills. And today what I did was I focused on going at a little lower level than I was practicing, and I just explored, trying to see what I could come up with, adding those jumps together, single leg jumps and whatnot. I just had a lot of fun with that. After that, I really pushed myself. The exercises that I used today in my push are just examples. I'm not saying that those are the movements that you should be using. You need to find what's good for you. Work at a level where you're able to push yourself at a very high level in terms of not just the quality of the movement, it always wants to be at a very high level, but also something that's really going to force you to work hard, build your strength, focus on control. It can also help you, of course, to improve your flexibility. The thing about everything we're doing here in GMB is about you. Figure out what your goal is. My goal is different than your goal, and that's why today's video isn't about a follow along video. It's about showing you the process that I go through when I set up my sessions. Hopefully give you some ideas so that you can take those ideas and apply them to whatever goal you have. All right, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below. And also be sure to subscribe to our channel. We have tons of videos and coming out with a lot more videos each and every week. Thanks for watching.